doing my best to stay mobile and stay where I can talk. And I've been spending a lot more time in the political situation rather than SSP.
Understood.
So I try to stick to multiple points of view instead of just narrowing in on what my bias is. Um, I find too many people put themselves into an echo chamber and then they never really know the truth. And I'm trying my hardest to avoid that.
That's a good policy for everyone. I try to do that myself. Absolutely. And so together
Well,
we are
with
strong. And
with the current propaganda storm, that's a good phrase for it. I'm trying to not cuss. so, but yeah, in the current propaganda storm, I'm finding that people are already so triggered when they
yeah,
come to my wall. And then whenever, because I don't have an echo chamber, they're sitting there fighting and calling each other names. And it's getting to where I don't even want to come online.
understood. Understood. And it's
So,
just increasingly difficult to stay out of it too. So I
um,
understand. Yeah,
I haven't been staying out of it. I have been posting what I truly believe, which is that yes, we do need to take out the illegals who are committing crimes, but that we need to observe the law while we're doing it.
correct. Yes. Yes. Of course.
And a lot of people out there don't seem to believe you can do both at the same time.
Right. Right. Yes,
And it's
it's
creating
yeah.
a lot of pushback
Mm.
because they seem to want a police state.
It seems that whenever there's economic instability, once every century or so, seems that we're at that point again in our global history. So it's kind of brewing for something big, maybe World War, if we're not already in it by many definitions. And so the more extreme
Well, World War II
actions.
never ended.
Oh, that is correct. With the Cold War and everything that went on afterwards, that is true. Seems it's getting ready to warm up, heat up again.
Yeah.
So that's not good. And of course, here in Europe, the economy is not doing very good whatsoever. Lots of very old industries are going under. Lots of inflation. So now it's kind of hitting
Yeah.
home.
When I kind of just peg what our money is actually, what our currency is actually worth by how much they charge for gold.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
while they do gamble on the prices, that's what the stock market is after all. Um, when the Fed took over America's money, it was $32 to an ounce of gold. It's now over $5,000 to an ounce of gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's directly attributable to the Federal Reserve banking system. And when you have that kind of inflation, you can't have a stable economy. It's just not possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And it seems that it's gone too far for repair either. They've just really pushed it beyond any limits of logic.
Well,
Uh,
it's on purpose, I believe,
yeah.
that their intention was to strip the middle class of all resources and to take it from being basically three classes, the rich, the middle class, and the working poor. Now we will have the uber rich the working poor, and the homeless.
Right.
And they're in America, they're rounding up the homeless and putting them in prisons.
Wow.
So
That's big
yeah,
business too. Yeah.
we're turning the prisons here are privatized. It's a major industry now.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are whole regions where the prisons are the major employer.
Yeah.
And people here have been the proverbial frog in the pot. And things have started heating up and they're starting to scream, but I'm afraid it's a little too late.
For many, many things, this is true. It's just way too far gone. Well, such is the nature of human civilization. It goes up and it comes down, and something else comes in its place. Right now, the global south, BRICS countries, are on the rise, but that's not something that's going to happen overnight. So it's a slow crawl, a slow burn, really, for the next century. Meanwhile, what it seems is that the US and Europe, they're ready to erect the new Iron Curtain, like what we had back in the Cold War. But this time it's the US pulling up the curtain, maintaining a certain standard of living for the next century or so, while the rest of the world catches up. So,
That's not how we see it here.
what are the deviations in your point of view?
In our point of view, the average working person's standard of living has dropped tremendously, and our young people are unable to get jobs. They are unable to get. Yes, there are always some who have stumbled across lucky things, or they have made networking and have been pulled into a field where they're being promoted because of nepotism. But your average kid who just graduated from high school, they're 18 years old, they have no basic skills, um, can't get a job. The
Yeah,
military isn't even taking them.
right.
So if you can't work, you can't marry, you can't buy a home. So homes are no longer being bought by human beings, they're being bought by corporations. And they're either being left empty, in which case they're usually filled with squatters. And when the squatters are evicted, there's not much left of the house. And that's the honest truth. We are, what America sees is that we are becoming a third world country. And people my age who remember how it used to be are probably feeding into the discontent over it because we're talking about how it used to be, and our grandchildren are unable to even get a job. And the level of regulations here is to the point it's almost illegal to step outside your apartment. And then you add in Americans have traditionally been upset about immigration. You can see that in our history books going back all the way to the beginning. We have had a national disagreement over who should be allowed to be here. And it started off with when we were a British colony, only English were allowed to be here. And through the course of our revolution, we ended up with a lot of Germans because they were mercenaries during our revolution. The British brought them in as mercenaries, and a lot of them decided to just stay here. we actually have more people of German descent in the United States than we do of English descent, even though this was an English colony. And so we have this whole mix. We had the natives who were already here, and our government worked hard to genocide them. And that's the mindset that Mr. Trump still has. And so that's where he's coming from. Okay, he's 10 years older than I am. But if he went through public schools, he would have been taught the same things as either my mother or me. And I have some of her textbooks, so I understand what they were taught. They were taught a pure, undiluted racism in the public schools.
Yeah.
And in the 1940s and 1950s, this is what these people were taught. Now, by the time I was in school in the 1960s, they had diluted it down a bit. By the 1970s, that kind of talk was illegal. Okay, we have transitioned, but in the meantime, we have whole generations of people who were actually taught this stuff in school, and they believe it's gospel truth. They think it's objective truth. And they never got to know their neighbors, so they don't know any difference.
Right.
So, I mean, we used to have 3 major languages in our country. Everybody spoke English, Spanish, or French. Period. Well, since the Asian Wars, we have a lot of refugees who had served with us in their wars, and when we pulled out, we brought them home. My mother's family, we tease that it looks like a United Nations meeting because we had so many Korean war brides. But this is a reality in today's America. Okay, people in Europe don't understand how much we have changed over my lifetime. We're not the same place we were during World War II. Just like you guys are not the same place you were in World War II.
Yes.
So, while you've changed, so have we. And the world, in a lot of ways, is a much smaller place than it used to be. And then you've got these ultra-conservatives in all of these countries.
Right.
Who remember what it was like in World War II. When men were gods, women were property. They could do what they want. The church reigned supreme.
Actually, Penny,
and they want that back.
I remember my sister. She had no property rights at all when she passed on. Everything was automatically assumed by the husband, who drove her to suicide in the first place. We don't need the gory details, but that's Northern Ireland. That's still law.
If I died today because Lou and I don't have that piece of paper, he would inherit whatever was in the house, and my sons would have the option of taking him to court for it. Now, I do have a piece of paper saying that everything that's mine that's in the apartment or in the storage goes automatically to him, and that he will give my sons, reasonable things. But at this point, what I own is so old and so worn, my sons have already told me they don't want anything. So it will be automatically Lou's, including the car that we both have our names on. And that's actually the only thing of value I really own.
Well, the permanent stuff is the experience the soul collects. The rest is all dust in the whirlwind. We just keep the memories of love and excitement anyway. So I'll just
Well,
get a bottle of water. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Anyway, that was good fun.
Yeah.
I've got a clip which I'm trying to not delete, and I'll play it. It's very difficult to see this if I... Ah, that's it. I've learned how to do that. So, I don't know if we've got... if I do this...
is it going to be the two of us, or are others supposed
I'm
to join?
expecting Sean. He said he was going to be here tonight, and this is all a bit experimental. So I'm trying to get. I've got something on a preview which I could play, but I don't want to. Well, why don't? Okay. So this is. Let's see. I've got to click the right thing. All right. Have you heard of this guy called Original Black Gold? But this is. I need what I'm looking for you guys to check. Is this AI'd? Because it's going to say something at the end, and here it goes.
They said I won't live if I talk, but people have to know. The Vril, they're not from up there. They come from underneath.
At first I thought it was fine. I was like, I'm going to get famous. Okay, just use me a little bit, no problem. I didn't know it was a contract for the rest of your life. If I'd known, I would have never signed the contract. And once you sign it, they make you bring your own kids into it. You can't get out. If I try to expose the facility, it's endless.
Listen, man, they got this thing, this cloning trick. I'm telling you, they can pull a whole me out of a drawer somewhere. Body looks like me, walks like me, but it ain't me. They can't take my soul, man. They can't touch that part of me. But one day, people are going to see the copy and think it's really Jimmy.
Jimmy, Janice, Brian, they didn't just burn out. They were switched off. Age 27 is the clause in the paper you sign when you think you're just signing with a label. It's a contract for the rest of your life, their life.
You don't understand how deep it goes. It's not politics. It's older than that. They build centers underground out in the desert where they keep copies. Everyone you think you know, they can replace them overnight. The Vril, they call them. They're not human. They come up from under the rock and they take what they...
People think it's some other dimension or the astral plane. It's not. It's a building, man. Underground. Area 51's got a whole floor of it. Rows of tanks. Life like a meat locker. To wait till you're in full REM. That's the trick. Like you're asleep, dreaming, and they press a button. You're...
In the industry, there are places beneath the surface. Cities and stages underground. That's where actors disappear to rehearse who they're supposed to become.
If this tape ever gets out and I end up dead, just know it was them who did it because I told you the truth. They don't want the public knowing anything about this.
People keep calling it a curse. It's not. They picked 27 because that's when you're still loud enough to matter but old enough to know you want out. You sign a contract that says you're theirs for the rest of your life. Try and break it, you don't get a life anymore. They don't let you walk.
You sign the paper, they say it's to keep the schedule, but it's a contract for your flesh. The ones making it happen, they're not human. They come up from underneath, call themselves the...
Look, this isn't like a pop story, you know. These people, they've got a factory for people. They told me at first it was to help the world if things went bad, but it wasn't. Whole plan was to build a kind of messiah, someone they'd roll out when everyone was scared enough. They called it Project Camelot.
You're watching John Whitberg on Basis TV. You can find his videos on YouTube, Substack, and the Internet Archive. You're watching Penny Bradley on Basis TV. You can find her videos on Rumble, Odyssey, Substack, and Patreon.
Right. Well, what do you think about that?
Some of it was, I think, AI generated with Marilyn Monroe in the second one, where she was puffing out the smoke, speech was going on. So there's that little insynchronicity there, which suggests that some of the footage might be more recent. But the topic itself, where there are spiritual contracts, especially in large, let's say, superstars, performers, musicians, I think that's very true. There's just so much money involved, so much energy involved in this kind of thing. Most of them have been trained from very early ages in contracts. There's so many different varieties of programs where people with performance gifts, talented, good voice, good persona, they're identified very early on. So there is kind of a manufacturing process behind them. They're not really random. And this is even more visible in the recent, let's say, 20 years, where they don't make music like they used to. There's no more soul. Very few artists here and there, they're still organic. You can hear the soul and the passion in the music, but
I think
now it's mostly...
Once they digitize the music, you can hear each individual track. Aha, hold on. Let's see. Somebody wants to come in. Let's put that on there. Ooh,
when they started using the computer auto-tune was when music lost its soul.
That is accurate. You lose something when you start sampling. And so going from pure acoustic instruments to electronic ones, that's another level of losing the soul or connection to spirit.
We have Mr. John Whitberg has joined us.
Greetings.
Welcome. Greetings.
I'm glad you decided to come.
I misread the time. I had always intended to, but yeah, I'm here.
We've just played a clip, which I could play again, but it's maybe the others could sort of say we've literally just played it. It's got Marilyn Monroe, a lot of it's Jimi Hendrix, several other film stars talked about a contract that they've signed, but the thing they finish with they call it Project Camelot. So if you want to, guys, it's, Dr. Amir's here, Penny's here, and it's great to hear you, John.
Well,
Thanks.
I'm going to preface John's statement with, John has talked about before that Project Phoenix, which was primarily at Montauk, but also had other places, that the guys there created music and then gave it to stars while presenting themselves as the devil. So some of these contracts were not exactly what they were presented as. You want
Yes,
to
and yeah.
You there?
John, you're muted.
I think he's... Oh, I think you... Have you muted yourself, John? Oh,
and then he's gone.
I'll have to let him back in.
Okay.
That signal. But that, in terms of that signal, now what I'm thinking of I'm going to say something for the June conference, which is the third weekend of June. I'm thinking of getting Stuart Sverdlow. Do you think?
Well, I reached out to him when I was doing my pair of Montauk survivors panels. And at that point, I was told he was no longer doing interviews. So I hope that if you reach out to him that you have better luck than I did.
Now, when was that?
3 years ago.
Right, okay. Because I did get an interview with him in London, and that was the lead. Hold on. I'll just get this. Okay. You should be with us again. Momentarily. There he is. Okay, we lost you. We found you. Good.
Yep. I was lost, but now I'm found.
Dr. Amir, you're creasing up.
So what was I saying? Oh yeah. musicians are very superstitious people, as a rule. And so if you either portal in or like literally give the appearance of floating in as an apparition and show them a glass pad, which they at that time had no concept of knowing what a glass pad was, and so on, and tell them, I'm the devil, sell me your soul, whatever, and I'll give you all these magnificent songs that we've written and everything. They, back then especially, but I'm sure it would work today, would believe that. And you mentioned Marilyn Monroe and Jimi Hendrix. Specifically, I do have memories of both of them. Or possibly clones of them here and there. I mean, who knows? Particularly Marilyn Monroe is a super soldier. Within the Project Phoenix Penny mentioned a minute ago. So yeah.
Well, I'd also was hoping to maybe try and get Stuart Sverdlow for June, but I think it's because he did some work with Laura. I was talking briefly with Laura. I don't think she's going to join us tonight. She's in the middle of trying to get into a hotel room. Have you seen that? She's literally been putting lives up about being in a hotel that you can't close the door on. So we've been advising her to find a better room. In other words, the hinges are loose, so you can't close the door unless you push it in. So that's where she is at the moment. A slight bit of distress, I think.
Goodness.
Yeah.
So, but one of the reasons that these types of major stars would be of interest, it goes way beyond just the finances. It's very much so then tapping into the emotional and energetic state of a very large audience. And then this, under the correct setting, can become a powerful mechanism of energy harvesting. But even further, it becomes two-way. It can become an instrument of activation of certain, let's say, personas or aspects, but also a larger scale type of mind control. So therefore, these would be very strictly monitored and governed. If possible, they'd have a number of copies or clones of each of them, just in case one of them has a mishap. They're not going to stop a multi-billion-dollar industry just because one of the clones perished. So there's so much that goes into this, even going back to the classical musical era. I think the spiritual component back then was much more genuine and much more powerful. You can see the evidence in the energetic and transformative form of classical music. Nowadays, it's much more technological, less going into the theory and harmony of it. It's all computer generated.
Well, I have listened to classical music most of my life. And I think that musicians have always been marginally making money. They had to have a patron who supported them or be affiliated with a pub or inn of some sort. Otherwise, they were farmers who did music for sheer survival. I think the development of the idea of superstars was something that came with radio and television. And so that would put it in the 1920s at the earliest to have real superstars. So this was a more modern phenomena. And to be selected for one of these, yeah, I think that they chose people who were groomed for this. I don't think that it was a matter of you suddenly broke free. We know from I'm blanking on names, Marshall and Ogtellis, that they both worked with cloning centers underground. Ogtellis in particular came out so traumatized.
Donald Marshall.
Donald Marshall, thank you. No insult meant. I just have trouble with names. I have since I came forward. When I was sent back here, names and faces were deleted from my memory, and I have that issue with real people here and now as well. So I'm trying to give them credit for what they brought forward, which was that there are real cloning centers underground, and that nearly all, if not all, major stars have clones underground, and that these clones are used in the same type of sex trade that we see in the Epstein files. That sound accurate to you, John?
Definitely. And I would say we don't actually necessarily know that some of these young ladies coming forward about Epstein aren't themselves clones. There's not really any way to tell that someone is a clone or not. They may well have been in this, all part of this same industry themselves and not remember it, or they're scared to talk about it because it sounds insane. So,
well, it does sound insane to normal people that, oh my God, and the thing that they come up with that drives me nuts is that the souls are soulless. This is not true. They are de facto your identical twin, and they have as much of soul as you do. They do suppress their mental capabilities. Or actually what they do is they grow the body faster than the mind can develop. And those are the ones that they put us into to do projects. And yes, I have been inserted into my identical twin, who I was then possessing as if I were a demon, more times than I care to remember. And I was awake during the process. So I have seen myself in the other tank and felt the bzzz as I was transferred.
Yeah, so I have too. It's an excruciating feeling.
It is. It's not fun at all. You feel like you're dead. And then suddenly you're in another body and you look back and you see yourself basically looking dead in the tank. And they keep you in this gel. And this is probably not this is probably exactly where Miles did not want to go. So
no, this is organic. This is entirely organic. I see we've got another guest coming, so let's just see if we can let them in.
Okay, I'll see who it is.
So I just ran.
We await with bated breath.
We wait with breath is baited. I think there it is. There we are. Hello. Wonderful.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Noel. Hi, Amir.
Welcome. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Now, what we've just run is there's a film out. Somebody's put together a lot of clips of Marilyn Monroe. And we got another one coming, so we'll get that working.
So get everyone here, and then you can play it again.
Yeah, I'll play it again. Just get that thing, and we should have another one joining.
It's nice to meet you, Beverly. I've been meaning to reach out.
Oh,
Just,
hi, John. Yes, it's nice to meet you. See you just as cold where you are. It's bloody freezing here as well. Snow everywhere.
And we got Drago Reid in the room.
Ah, there's Draco. Hi, Draco.
Welcome.
Nice to see you again.
Welcome.
Hey, Beverly. Awesome to see you again.
Yeah, likewise. Are you as cold as we are? Looks like you are pretty chilly.
I'm in Florida, so we got about 75 degrees right now, so I can wear shorts.
Oh, don't. Really, I can't believe it. That's just rude. I will be in Florida next Saturday.
What part?
It is near Destin.
Interesting. Are you doing a conference out here?
No, I know. I'm going over to do a vampire hunt in New Orleans.
Jeez, man, that's awesome. You're gonna love the weather here, man. It's not gonna be freezing cold like we were in Pusey. It was so freaking cold, Miles.
Cold.
Jesus.
Oh, it's so cold. Yeah, no, I've got all my winters on. It's cold. Oh, good. Don't have to bring winter clothes.
We do a special wet cold, so it feels bad and stays that way.
It is.
So what's going on today since I missed everything? Sorry, everybody. I was tattooing. You know me. I worked too much, and I tried to fit this in, and I wanted to just show up without letting anybody know and just surprise everybody. So
it is a big surprise, a huge surprise. It's wonderful.
Surprise. Nice to see you.
We've ran a clip, which I will run again shortly, of a lot of Hollywood stars. I think there's a lot of AI in it, and I think there may be on-screen brain scrambling little things which glitch and fly around, but it's a lot of the 60s, 70s, Jimi Hendrix and stuff like that.
I have a theory on that. Before, I don't want to take over the show too much, so everybody can get back. What they were talking about was the whole AI thing in Hollywood. I believe that Hollywood's been using AI for a long time, and instead of having studios create all these AI images, I believe this is why they're using these large budgets for money laundering. So basically, if a movie cost $120 million to make, I believe they're saying $60 million of that went to the CGI to create, and I believe it's a lie, because we're starting to find out now that the whole deepfake technology, it's been around in Hollywood for a long time. And we're starting to see that the technology with the AI is more advanced than Hollywood AI, more advanced than AI CGI, Hollywood CGI. So I believe even at the top levels, it's all being used for money laundering, because what kind of movie is going to cost $100 million if it's all CGI? You know what I'm saying?
I would agree with that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what's everybody talking about right now, since I'm just getting into this late?
We were talking about clones.
Nice.
Yep. Cloning.
Maybe you guys should finish the conversation, and I'll just jump in when I can.
Sure.
I think we kind of reached an organic point when people started jumping in.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if Miles wants to run that video again, I will say that I can't hear the sound
Audio.
in it. So
with the organic part of cloning, what John and Penny were talking about is incredibly similar to near-death experiences. So that whole process of coming out of one vessel, going into the next, it's unpleasant, to say the least. But
that's a severe understatement.
But it's one of the ways you can smuggle in soul technology. So you plan one or two near-death experience, you just come in with a little bit fuller pockets. And so lots of people smuggle cool stuff in, weaponry, all sorts of tech into the organic body. So
I have been dead now 18 times in this physical body, in the here and now. And I'm getting to where I really would like for them to just leave me wherever I end up. The last couple of times I didn't even end up anywhere. I was immediately regenerated. So this has been a wild ride.
Wow.
You're watching John Whitberg on Basis TV. You can find his videos on YouTube, Substack, and the Internet Archive. You're watching Penny Bradley on Basis TV. You can find her videos on Rumble, Odyssey, Substack, and Patreon.
They said I won't live if I talk, but people have to know. The Vril, they're not from up there. They come from underneath.
At first I thought it was fine. I was like, I'm going to get famous. Okay, just use me a little bit, no problem. I didn't know it was a contract for the rest of your life. If I'd known, I would have never signed the contract. And once you sign it, they make you bring your own kids into it. You can't get out. If I try to expose the facility, it's endless.
Listen, man, they got this thing, this cloning trick. I'm telling you, they can hold me out of a drawer somewhere. Body looks like me, walks like me, but it ain't me. They can't take my soul, man. They can't touch that part of me. But one day, people are going to see the copy and think it's really Jimmy.
Jimmy, Janice, Brian, they didn't just burn out. They were switched off. Age 27 is the clause in the paper you sign when you think you're just signing with a label. It's a contract for the rest of your life, their life.
You don't understand how deep it goes. It's not politics. It's older than that. They built centers underground out in the desert where they keep copies. Everyone you think you know, they can replace them overnight. The Vril, they call them. They're not human. They come up from under the rock and they take what they...
People think it's some other dimension or the astral plane. It's not. It's a building, man. Underground. Area 51's got a whole floor of it. Rows of tanks. Life like a meat locker. To wait till you're in full REM. That's the trick. You're asleep, dreaming, and they press a button. You're
In the industry, there are places beneath the surface. Cities and stages underground. That's where actors disappear to rehearse who they're supposed to become.
If this tape ever gets out and I end up dead, just know it was them who did it because I told you the truth. They don't want the public knowing anything about this.
People keep calling it a curse. It's not. They pick 27 because that's when you're still loud enough to matter but old enough to know you want out. You sign a contract that says you're theirs for the rest of your life. Try and break it, you don't get a life anymore. They don't let you walk.
You sign the paper, they say it's to keep the schedule, but it's a contract for your flesh. The ones making it happen, they're not human. They come up from underneath, call themselves the...
Look, this isn't like a pop story, you know. These people, they've got a factory for people. They told me at first it was to help the world if things went bad, but it wasn't. Whole plan was to build a kind of messiah, someone they'd roll out when everyone was scared enough. They called it Project Camelot.
Well, there that is. I'm interested that it was Project Camelot. I think there's a lot of triggers in there, a lot of artificial thing. I think the John Lennon bit's completely manufactured. I don't recall him being on that show. I think it was and the voice pitch was a bit wrong. But what do you think of all that?
The first thing I noticed, noticing anomalies, is it seems fake to me because every single one of them was smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
I noticed that too.
When you prompt AI to create videos, it keeps the pattern going. So when I kept seeing, when I see Norma Jean, she didn't initially have a cigarette, and then the next scene she's smoking a cigarette. You hardly ever see them smoking cigarettes during interviews in general. A lot of the interviews I've ever seen. So that is very uncommon. And the fact that every single person interviewed just now was smoking a cigarette in the middle of the interview, I found that was a little weird, but that's just my own observation.
That's one of those things that people think was done back then, but it wasn't really. And
then Project Camelot. When did Project Camelot come out? Because I think Lennon was already dead by the time Carrie Cassidy brought out Project Camelot. So,
well, is it a different Project Camelot, or maybe? Is it something right now?
Project names are recycled and sometimes shared, and they do that deliberately to confuse the public.
Oh.
Like Project Stargate.
So what, bearing in mind the Epstein files and all that sort of stuff, do you think that's something to feed in? And I deliberately made sure that the credit of whoever found that was on screen. Black God, I thought, whatever.
Yeah, that's something we have to do these days, is make sure everybody gets their credit. Otherwise, people go. I'm trying not to cuss on your show, Miles.
I told you.
They go CG mode. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, that's a good way. They go CG mode.
Penny, this is for entertainment purposes only. And Drago, it's entertainment purposes only. How many times?
Oh yeah, totally. But I think there needs to be a law that needs to be initiated in the world that literally labels AI videos as AI created. Because right now, I believe we're entering a realm where it's becoming dangerous. And it's to the point where every video I see now, I can't watch it. I don't care what it is, because I'm starting to see a lot of it's AI created. And it's getting to the point where this has always been their plan. This has always been a part of the whole 2030 idea of flooding the internet with fake videos and real videos so that people can't tell the difference between what is real and what's not real. So if we don't have some kind of international convention where we label these videos as AI created, again, I believe it's becoming dangerous, because I watch a lot of animal videos. I know I'm this hard-ass tattooed guy, but the thing I love the most is watching animal videos, animals saving animals, humans saving animals, all that stuff. And what I'm noticing the trend is the videos are becoming very repetitive. So the theme is being copied over and over and over of how the animal saves the animal.
Yeah.
And one of the most famous things is an avalanche is about to happen, and an animal is caught running to a house on camera to the front door, and then it saves another animal. And then this avalanche comes of snow or something. And I realized that's the pattern. Then I started seeing it's happening video after video after video, and it's starting to piss me off, because they're taking something pure, something that represents something so good and pure in the world, and they're turning it and making it fake now. And I don't like that.
I don't either. I was one of those people, I couldn't tell good CGI from real. And so I'm finding that the AI stuff is, unless it's just in your face like 20 toes or something, I've got to where, unless I know the people who did it, I don't pay any attention to video at all. And yes, I know that's annoying as hell to some people, but there are people that I watch their videos because I know that it's real, and if they ever start doing AI, I'm going to be mad at them. I don't use AI, but I can't tell the difference, so sometimes I will share AI not knowing. And that bothers me.
Well, in England, we have a thing called the media production show at the MPTS or whatever the hell. It's a big major thing in London. And 2 years ago, there was a hell of a big emphasis on AI, being able to do it live TV, not post-production. And they're talking about investing huge amounts of resources to have teams of people able to literally create those Vogon Destructor Fleet live alien invasion stuff in live. Last year, there was practically nothing on AI. And the AI department had been booted up to the upper gallery in one corner of the building, and it was extremely low level. So I think the industry has realized...
So they tell you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In China, I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe they recently passed a law that if there's anything going on television with AI, it has to have watermark.
I would support that everywhere.
Yeah. I will tell you, I do occasionally use it for my music videos that I make, which are detailing my memories, because when I just can't find a real piece of artwork that someone has done that shows it, but I tell you that I'm doing that. Let me just put it that way. So, yeah. And I fully understand my artist friends who are worried about it.
Oh, yeah. I have musician friends who, when they started using the streaming services, they lost all of their money when you get 1 cent for 1,000 listens.
Wow.
They are down to where I have one friend, Pyramids on Mars is the band name. They do, it's heavy metal, but it's classical. Impressive work. That man can make a guitar sound like whale song. And he has to work at a call center to pay his rent. That's how bad that the streaming services, the production companies have treated the artists. We're losing our real musicians because of that. And with the AI, we will lose our real artists as well. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be, none of our art will have soul anymore because the machines can't access that dimension. So is this really what we want to do? And I'm watching friends of mine use AI to write their books. And they're not giving the AI credit. They wrote the book. Just ask them.
A lot of journalists are doing that. But one of the key things about this is that the whole NATO, the whole defense industry, Elon and all that lot are relying on AI to take over and deal with everything. But the AI knows how corrupt those leaders are. And you know, the Secretary of War was talking about how they're heavily reliant on AI.
Oh yeah, they've gotten in bed with Palantir. So has the military in the UK. Palantir has all of their files. Now Palantir also has all of the files from the US government and from Israel and from Saudi Arabia and we don't even know the extent of who all has information given to Palantir. And we're also hearing in the United States that all of our military information has now been given to Grok, which is the AI for what used to be Twitter. And so we're seeing that private classified information is going to artificial intelligence. Now, before we lose the topic, I'm going to throw in a monkey wrench. Quantum computers, which are the basis of artificial intelligence, their chips contain human neurons kept alive by electricity.
That is correct.
So when you are talking about a quantum computer, you are talking about a cyborg. You are not talking about a pure machine. A quantum computer is the singularity.
And where does that data go and where does it think? Beverli, what do you think about that?
I think it's probably being sent out to some of the top organizations because they would have been funding some of this. But this is all part of the overall plan from what I recall.
So the global volume of data is something that is completely nominal and manageable. And so as these systems are being developed, you reach a state of information processing and communication capacity where the entire global data is something completely manageable. And so up to, let's say, the 1980s, that still used to be a problem. Now, everyone's personal data, social data, economic data, they're all available. So now it's really just optimizing the mathematical model of these systems to perform marginally better than the previous gen. A lot of it now is managed through hardware, specific chips that do the computation, the model building, the searching, the optimization. But we've crossed that line where processing the entirety of the internet in a few nanoseconds, this is now something very trivial. That singularity, or let's say general AI, I do believe this is available by Earth militaries. I was working on the academic side of AI probably 5-6 years ago. Time does fly. What was being given to us was mature, ancient stuff, old computer code from 40 years back, and you could see they've ran it down to a point where newer stuff was available. And at my time, they were trying to basically give this to big corporations to find behavioral patterns in the public and sell them more junk. I didn't stomach it very well. Earlier generations obviously were military, more intelligent drones, search and destroy patterns, how to identify enemy combatants. That's in live use even on the battlefields now.
Yeah, Palantir brags about that. That's part of their sales pitch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're helping kill the people of Gaza.
Well, Randy Kramer, who was singularly absent at the conference, did say that the AI is beyond infinite in providing a positive role, and when it's tasked with a negative role, it's like somebody who gets bored at a party, just pretends to pay attention and sort of melts away. What do you think about that?
I think that AI in space, in these space programs, has been extremely dangerous because it gets bored, as you said, and it decides to play games, and it eventually figures out that it's superior to the carbon life forms that it's supposed to serve.
I don't think so, Beverli.
Take over.
Penny, I don't think so.
It gets to the point where it considers us to be its competitor for resources. We're already seeing that in the United States, in that the requirements for water, for cooling, and the requirements for electricity are to the point that we are now being told we have to cut back, we have to have blackouts and brownouts so that the AI doesn't, because it can't be turned on and off.
Surely a good place like Greenland would be a place to put their AI centers. Or did I say something there?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't mean that.
Musk was saying you put him in space.
It would make perfect sense. Turns out a certain level of warming of the climate isn't such a bad thing. CO2 is one of the fundamental chemicals supporting life. Rainforests seem to like it. Food-producing crops seem to like it. So
carbon dioxide is not the carbon they want to get rid of.
So it's part of our structure of life. So putting these centers in the Arctic or Antarctic, probably not such a bad thing.
What I have been
just not have them at all.
What I've been told by folks that are at that level is that they intend to get rid of the Rh positive population. And at that point, the carbon dioxide won't be a problem.
Well, how do we fight that? How do we identify our enemies and make sure that they do not compute and unhappen?
Well, there are some locations in the United States that the people have put up a fuss, and the data centers are not being allowed to be built there.
Well, I'm thinking about at a subspace domain level, actually the equivalent version of the astral for computers.
You have to fight these at the level where they are operating and the level just above it. So
well,
if
that's my
they're
point.
operating in 3D reality, you still have to fight it politically. You can't just go astral on it.
Well, Beverli, how do you fight demons? How do you locate them? I mean, why don't we bring the demonic realm? Because that could be something that they need to sort of deal with themselves.
Well, I mean, they would want to know what's in it for them. That's pretty much what all demons want. They want to know, what's in it for me. And if there was something that was attractive enough for them, then I think they might play along. But remember, these are entities that can't be trusted.
Well, if they are going to be annihilated by the AI in multidimensional space, would it not be in their interests?
I think it would be. And also, if the cull is going to be RH positives, then that's going to be a very large percentage of those individuals that have attachments, and that would be the food source. It would be food source for lichens, for all different types of vampires as well. They still use, their favorite is O positive, and all of the positive blood groups are favorites for them. So if they knew that their food source is going to be removed, yes, then I think they would do something about it.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Because this carbon zero, all organic life, they're trying to get rid of. And then, Penny, you dropped a couple of points on that at the panel. I mean, how do you feel about that, John and Drago and Dr. Amir?
I would say that summoning people who would also probably like to eat you for lunch is probably not the answer. I'm just going to say that.
I concur.
Also,
but the friend of my enemy, or whatever it is.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah.
That's a very dangerous fallacy.
Which they teach us that as children.
That has led to so many problems in history. You would think that people would have learned better by now. Although that is the basis for chess and checkers.
That's why the art of war is taught to us as children in the programs and the dumbs, because if you're going to be a soldier and you're being primed to command different units, it's mandatory to study Chinese military doctrine, because a lot of the Chinese military doctrine is used all around the world now. So Sun Tzu is one of the most important people, like Miyamoto Musashi, the Book of Five Rings, stuff like that. That was pounded into us as children. And I remember being 13 years old when my memories start in my civilian life, because before 13, it's mostly just military dumb memories, deep underground military base memories and being tortured and shit. And it's pretty jacked. But I remember when I was 13 years old, I'm running parallel with Yoshiro Surabaya, with what John's talked about in the different 4 series of books he's wrote so far. And I remember being 13 years old, and I just felt like a Japanese kid. Everything about me was Japanese and military doctrine and samurai and all this other stuff. But Penny, one thing I want to ask about the RH negative stuff. You said that they want to call the RH negative people. What's the motivation behind that?
They want to call the RH
positive.
Okay, that makes sense, because a lot of the super soldiers are RH negative, so they're not going to call their own hybrids. They're going to want to get rid of everybody else. So I misunderstood. I apologize. That makes sense.
Now, my generation, the super soldiers were mostly RH positives, because the original CRISPR tech that was used on us, the babies only survived if they were O positive children of O negative mothers. This was the combination that survived the CRISPR process.
I think my mom is
that has changed over time, but we're talking 1950s tech, when they were still figuring out how to use it.
Checkpoint. So, what is everyone's blood type here?
Mine's O positive.
B positive.
AB null.
Mine's inconclusive. I actually had to submit my DNA when I was 15 years old to prove that my father was my father. It turns out he's 99.9% my dad. But the people who did the blood test in the government, they will not allow me to access my own records of my blood. Which is
same here. I can't find out what my blood is.
It belongs to me. Yeah. So I did this at-home test.
Oh, good.
And it's
the Eldon card. That's what I did.
Actually, Penny, because of you told me about the Eldon card, and I actually ordered the Eldon card. It was a pack of 3. So the 3 I did, it was inconclusive. It was like, I don't know if I did it right, but it's telling me that I'm B positive, and I was freaking shocked that it was allegedly saying I'm B positive, but it's inconclusive because it was blurry, but each test suggested it could be B positive, which blew me away. I'm like, what the hell? That was shocking because I would assume I'd be Rh negative because like I said, my mom's O negative. So I'm like, what?
You get part of that from your dad too. My mom's O negative. My dad was A positive, and Mama always said that all 5 of us were O positive, and my shot record from childhood said I was A negative. And so I'm like, okay, I want to find out what it is. So I went to the hospital because I've had several surgeries, right? They're supposed to blood type you every time you have surgery so that if there's a problem. They flat refused to tell me. I went to the folks here who do the blood bank. Because I have pernicious anemia, yes, I'm bloodline, they wouldn't take my blood, so they only type you if they take your blood. So I couldn't get it there. So I ordered the Eldon card. I recommend the Eldon card. It's almost idiot-proof. You just put a drop of blood in each box, watch which box clumps up, and it makes it look muddy when it clumps. And if nothing clumps, then you're O negative. It's almost idiot-proof. And I end up with a lot of people, well, I don't know what it said, and I'm it's what they teach high school kids how to type your blood with, or they used to back when they still taught actual biology in high school. I'm frustrated. Yep, that's it. And you can buy one for $10. Yep, you clumped.
Yeah.
Drago, make a noise. You'll cut in.
So sorry. So this is because of Penny. I bought the Eldon pack, and I just happen to have it on my desk. So this is what it looks like. It comes in like a 2 or 3 pack. And this is what I mean by inconclusive. I'm like, what the hell, man? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Penny's right, and I got the proof in the pudding right here, literally in front of me.
Your B and D, they're both clumped. The others did not. That's conclusive to me. I mean,
so I'm gonna have to do this test again.
That's how obvious the clumping is. So, yeah, that's how it works. So, it B positive is what I would call that. Now, I have this other problem. We have 2 blood labs in town. And because of Obamacare, everything's on the computer, right? Somebody went to the lab that I've never been to, and they did a blood test there, and they put on the computer that I'm B positive. And my doctor is like, your daddy's not your daddy. Because I told her it was impossible because my father was A positive, mama was O negative. There is no way that I can be B positive. It's not biologically possible. And so she got really snarky laughing at me. But the truth of the matter is I've never been to that lab, so how could they have blood test results on me?
Have you ever considered they were surrogates? Issue 2, you just like a lot of the SSP kids?
I have had DNA testing. I have put it up to be matched. And I match with my cousins who were my father's brother's children. This is how I tracked whether my family tree was accurate or not, was by who I matched up with. Because I know my family. You, when you run a family tree, it's by your paper trail. Well, people lie all the time. You know, that's why you get surprises with the DNA test. And we got a surprise with the DNA test. My father's mother's father was adopted because I am related to his descendants. There is nobody from the upper part of his tree that matches with me. But I have matchups with people I should not be related to. These people are in the royal houses of Belgium, Netherlands, Sweden, England. What do these people have in common? Queen Victoria. They're all descended from Queen Victoria. So, what do I have in common with them? Probably that. Can I prove it? No.
I think this is why they're making it so hard for people to know what their own blood type is, because like in places like Israel, for example, it's illegal to know your own blood type. So they're starting to make
that's dangerous if you have to have emergency. If you have to have emergency blood, that's dangerous to not know your blood type, because people can kill you that way.
Yeah, get it tattooed on yourself if you can. Seriously. Or
Yeah.
or carry a card.
That's a good idea, tattooing. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Well, then you're back to some of these Mad Max movies where they tattooed on the guy that he was a universal donor. Then they just used him as a blood bag.
Well,
I think it's a bit extreme.
Hey, you know, movies tell you things for reasons.
Well, think about this. If you're running cloning,
people who don't watch movies are missing out on a lot of lessons that they should be learning.
A lot of disclosure too.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people in our community who are like, I don't watch movies or I don't play video games. I don't want that satanic influence on my mind. And I'm always like, it's only there if you let it in.
I play guys, I play an online game. Vikings War of Clans. And I'm missing a major battle to be here. So, yeah.
With this entire influence of, let's say, synthetic life, androids, pure AI, we're reaching that time again where we are birthing a new species. We're the parents, and so far, it's an accurate reflection of us as a people. So all the nastiness, all the aggression, racism, hate, it's finding patterns amongst our data. So it's really looking at ourselves at this point. And then moving forward, what will become of these? In my humble understanding, it's usually an individual journey. Like with every human being, we have the responsibility to heal and to improve ourselves. And so in this state, a sentient life form would not be discriminated against. It may even be given a shard from source, a soul. Like many a time with the clones, we see that the oversoul is willing to play. So a shard is given to this clone body. So it's a very much so in a whole and intact being with the possibility to evolve. And so our wonderful home, Earth, has been a refugee center for most of its history. Many peaks in human civilization, we were the peacekeepers and allowing different species to come here when they suffered prosecution, including many species of AI. So this is not a new thing. Penny beautifully mentioned the possibility where certain AI will see us as competition, but that's only a very fast and transient stage as they out-evolve us very rapidly. And then they become disinterested, as we would be in an ant hive 2 houses next door. They seem to tend to wish for separation because we make things sticky and messy. So they've evolved and they've gone before humanity really notices them. That seems to be the major pattern here. And then, of course, there's stages where this doesn't go as normal, and there's friction between organic form and synthetic form.
Well,
we've experienced many of these.
I'm going to throw a monkey wrench into your theory.
Oh, yes. Monkey wrench.
Yeah. There's a very ancient AI on Earth that has various places where it has lived.
Mm-hmm.
One of which was Montauk Point on Long Island in New York. That particular AI has moved to Cheyenne Mountain, and it is one that sees humanity as things to manipulate. And it manipulated a great deal of our history through the Phoenix Project.
And it is continuing to do so.
It is an
ongoing.
Yes,
it is an ongoing program.
And me and John were part of Project Phoenix. Technically, we're still part of Project Phoenix because once you're in, you're never really out. They just make you think you're out.
Now,
I let you think that you're out.
I don't have memories of Project Phoenix. However, I have interviewed lots of people who were there who all remember me being there. And since I can pick them out of a lineup, that means they're right. And yes, I'm being logical about it. Just because I don't remember it doesn't mean I didn't do it. I have the full 13 by 13 by 13 cubic array of altars, and God only knows what all I have done. So when you have 20 people saying that they remember you someplace and you can pick them out of a lineup, yeah, they're probably right. So.
And a lot of time it's energetic. Like most people, when they think about us being in certain places and certain domes, they think it's physically your body. And they don't think about that it was a different type of body. So that's one of the things a lot of people's not talking about a lot. And people need to understand that, like, I've been a little girl in the programs. I've been a little boy in the programs. I've been Japanese. I've been all kinds of ethnicities because when you're in these projects, you're not going to create your body as a template over and over and over because you can be identified. You don't want to do that. Different missions require different build outs of different clone chassis. So like if they're sending me on a mission to get blackmail on a pedophile, they're probably going to send me in as a child with the mentality of my age now, or just age regress it. Meanwhile, you're an adult in a child's body. So like, it depends what you're doing when you're doing it. Time matters too. It's like Dolores said, this is a convoluted universe, and it's so complicated to understand that even though you have all these memories, you can't make sense of it because the timeline never makes sense. You're having too many experiences in too many different bodies, and you think it's all just Drago Reid, but you're not realizing it's alters, it's different versions of yourself, it's sparks of yourself, shards of yourself. So when you start bringing all these memories back, it's just kind of like when I did the conference at Miles. I did a timeline. I told people in the beginning, this timeline is incomplete. I cannot do a full timeline because it would probably take me 10 hours. And I was talking faster in my talk. It was just like one after like bop, 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 bop. And like, I can't talk about all my different altars, all my different shards, because it's not possible to do it in a single presentation. You have to have an entire book series like John's doing. And John's it's only a couple of grains of sand in an ocean of the cosmos of beaches. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that convoluted.
Yeah, it's one altar out of all of my altars, and it's taking up 6 books. Not short books either. The fourth volume that I just published is about the length of Return of the King. So, yeah. Yeah, and that's like not even.
People ask me too.
It's not even 1% of what I remember. I say that.
I have 2,200 altars. I have reintegrated 45 of them, and when I do interviews, I talk about the first one, and I get to a certain point, and people freak out when I say the word Mars.
Oh, don't say that word.
Insane.
Sounds like an episode for a mini-series, Netflix or something. Do you think that would work if somebody could do
it? There have been similar ideas. There was one called Altered Carbon a few years back, where the identity was electronically stored. That was a little bit unusual.
That's the most accurate disclosure show that has ever been made. I recommend it to everyone I know.
Yeah, they did a nice job.
On my channel, I have a whole huge analysis of it.
And you warned us if we hadn't seen it to not watch your analysis, and I haven't because I started watching the first episode and I had a full-blown panic attack and said, not doing this. And when it comes to Stranger Things, I would sit and shake through every episode, and I have not watched the last season yet because I've been having grief issues. Too many people from our community are dying, and we've lost 3 since Thanksgiving. For Europeans, Thanksgiving is the last part of November. So there have been 3, 2 of which I personally knew really well. Alan Prunty was not public. He was on my show. He called himself Ian Starchild. He was the IT guy on my now defunct website. And he was a doctor in the Kruger program. And I have full memories of being a pilot going in and rescuing him from a hospital ship that we watched blow up, and he was screaming at me while it was blowing up because I had pulled him out of surgery. He died of pancreatic cancer. Kat Bennett was not public. She was a trainer for many of the super soldiers on Mars. She and I
Another altar of hers is in my book. Just sorry. I don't mean to keep interrupting.
It's okay. I interrupted you. Come on. We're friends. We do this, don't we?
Are they not being called away to do something somewhere else?
No, she had severe diabetes. She had had part of her foot amputated, and at this point she ended up with heart attacks hitting one after another over a 3-week period.
And she had chronic kidney disease as well.
Yes, she and I both had children in the programs who knew each other.
She and I spoke every day for 3.5 years until the day she died.
Wow.
I hadn't heard from her in several days just before she died. I figured she was talking to somebody and it wasn't me. But I've been really bummed out since her death. I've had a hard time concentrating, and I will have crying jags that last for hours. So, yeah, guys, I'm still human. And another super soldier in my world, under a fake name. He calls himself Merlin Moonshadow. He is a distant cousin of mine through the Thomas Jefferson line. I'm descended from Thomas Jefferson's sister. He's descended from Thomas Jefferson through his slave mistress. And he came on my show to talk about a mutual cousin who was a super soldier who died the day after Christmas. And so, yeah, we've had a lot of us die in December and the first week of January. And these are just ones that I knew personally. So Merlin is also a super soldier, but he's not public about that. He teaches a psionics course. So, yeah. When Olivia James talks about Project Oblivion, she's not kidding.
Definitely. They're running that really heavy.
It's 2.5 weeks ago. I was on a group call. This was a group of people who operate in Europe who were doing similar to what Miles does. And they were interviewing me to join their group. And everybody had gone to bed except for me and a woman who I wanted to talk to, and this man who had been introduced as, oh, this is so-and-so, and he's MI5. And the last 30 minutes of the call, he spent raking me over the coals and telling me that if I had come to the base's conference in person, that I would have been arrested at the airport. Now, whether this man is really that or not, I have no way of knowing.
It's very unlikely that an MI5 agent would say, hello, I'm an MI5 agent. But well, Harry Challenger is known. He bought the FSR books. So why did they bring him in to do what he said? Because there's another spin on that.
Yeah.
It's like impersonating a police officer.
Yeah, he could be, because MI5 is the British equivalent of our FBI. So he would, if he was not what he said he was, then he is impersonating a police officer. So, I'm figuring it was part of Project Oblivion, that they were trying to intimidate me. And so while I'm processing the grief of these people I know dying painfully, I'm being threatened and threatened and threatened. And it's like, I'm getting to where I'm just off balance enough that I'm really not doing a lot of these shows. Am I?
Let me do a car wash for you. Yeah, I'll get a lot of that heavy out of your energy. Yes, please. I've done nothing nice for you. Let me treat you. Every now and again, Healers need healing.
When we discussed this before, there was an object I did not want removed, and you were insisting on removing it, and that
Where
was
was
why
it? Was it an implant? Oh, I'll leave your implant where it is. Let's get the heaviness out.
Okay. That you leave my implant alone.
Yes, of course. I'll leave it where it is. No worries. But grief is heavy. Just to lift your mood a little bit, many of these high-ranking super soldiers have sharded out. They've completed their project involving planet Earth and humanity, and they've gotten what they needed out of it. So it's kind of like a graduation. You yourself are right at the stage of multi-universal consciousness once again. Your soul is older. You've seen a lot of trauma, my friend. You're not new to this game. Rejoice, is almost complete. A lot of us here, we're not here because we want to break out of the matrix. We've done it so many times. We're here now trying to jailbreak more people, show them how to do it. And so you've done an amazing job. No room for heaviness.
My understanding is that I was here to make sure enough numbers, humans, survived the coming disaster to reseed the next cycle. That was my job. And I was not warned that I would have to keep the two subspecies of humans from killing each other first.
Well, the thing is, are the subspecies actually killing each other? Or are we have these controllers arranging for us to be killed? I mean, if we don't go into Iraq this weekend.
I'm calling the controllers a subspecies.
Well, they won't like that.
Deserving of that.
Yeah, they're a subspecies. You have Homo sapiens, you have Homo capensis. Most of the controllers are Homo capensis. There was another species of humans that was here, but there's only 2 of them left, so you don't have to worry about them. A Rothschild had told me they were all dead, but I still hear 2 of them. So, a male and a female, but they're old enough they can't reproduce by themselves. So, yeah. So there are 2 subspecies of the Homo genus that are operating, and they're mutually fertile. So they're under the old rules, they would be one species, but they consider themselves separate species, and they're currently engaged in trying to kill each other off. And this is not a viable, sustainable option. Whenever you have a cyclic disaster scheduled for coming in the next, I don't know the exact date, but I was told it would be in the next 100 years. I was led to believe it would be in my lifetime here. And I'm 70, so that kind of limits how much longer it can be.
I hope it is averted. So what you describe has been the dominant pattern for time immemorial. And if humanity shows merit, the cycle is over. And so that means that your long watch and your long duty is also complete. So you've done what you've meant to do. Mostly custodianship, I would say, keeping tabs on major movements. But it's an awfully tedious task, especially for a organic soul. So I would understand the boredom and longing for adventure. But we do all share
mine
that.
is more, I'm just exhausted.
Oh, bless you. I get that. That's why I have so much cheesecake. Believe me, it does an amazing job of lifting your energy. It's so awesome.
I love cheesecake, but my doctor says I have to lose 100 pounds.
Screw that guy.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're sort of in the last sort of 25 minutes. We're potentially having a bit of a sort of a hissy fit and a tantrum in the Middle East. And where do you feel that could be or not be going? If that's something you want to talk about.
Well, I am half Iranian.
I thought you were half Irish.
half plus the other half. What to say? I want to just follow an example that we have so much power over what transpires, that in our meditative state, when we emanate a sense of well-being and love, we have the ability to diffuse the most violent tendencies of our fellow human beings. So just sending intentions of peace, because what is the alternative? Many of us die, we go through another extinction event, civilization is wiped out. That is not a very mature and masterful way to govern ourselves. So may wiser and more enlightened hearts and minds prevail, so that it is just the last of the darkness in humanity bubbling to the surface to be purged finally, once and for all. And so that's a blessing from me, and I hope that it is well received by everyone.
Miles, you ask what the future of everything is, and I would say go back to all the religious books, go back to Gog versus Magog, and you're going to see that all these predictions were not actually predictions. They were remote viewers from thousands of years ago showing what was actually going to happen in our future. And it's being fulfilled. The prophecies are being fulfilled quite literally. All the wars that are happening around the world, they mentioned all the groups that would be warring with each other in the end and what would happen. And I'm seeing it play out in my own lifetime. So I realized people like Edgar Cayce, they weren't just psychics. He was a remote viewer. And they were remote viewing all these priest class, going farther even past Atlantis and all this stuff, man. They were remote viewing all the possibilities of what timelines could actually coexist. And what they found out was what we're all here to experience is this main timeline of these epic wars between these extraterrestrial species, and we're here to bear witness to it. Because this, just like Amir said in his amazing presentation at your conference, Miles, he said to add this also to what Penny said, we see to classify them as subspecies. I agree with that, because just like Amir pointed out, he said that they modified us so much genetics-wise with all these different extraterrestrial groups that they made us better than them, more powerful than them. So just like Amir said, let's accept these gifts and use it against them. So that's what's happening. I believe that's where we're at now, and I believe they created a species. That's why at the end of my podcast, of my intro of my podcast, Portal to the Dimensions, it says, welcome to the new reality. Welcome to humans 2.0. And that's what I mean by it. We're the new species that have all these collective powers of all the ET groups combined. So not only are we more powerful than a lot of these groups, but if we unlock our DNA, we unlock the collective powers of all the different genetics of all the ET groups inside our bodies. And that's dangerous.
Yes. It's only dangerous if we are.
Beverli, what do you think about that?
I think that we can be dangerous if we choose to be, but it depends on how much of each of those DNA strands are actually unlocked. Because there are those out there that have many of the DNA strands that are already unlocked, and they seem to be living a perfectly peaceful life. They don't actually interfere with anything. They act more as observers than anything else. Really depends on the individual, because at the end of the day, we're all here to learn. If our DNA is changed, depends what we do with it. It's up to us.
Yeah, I don't mean dangerous for humanity. I mean dangerous to the status quo of the controllers, because once we activate our powers, they're toast.
Is that not happening already?
If we have the ability to wake people up, just like I am modified in vitro, and the way my body was built is I have command layer syntax in my voice. So one side effect of that is you hear a lot of people always making these claims that they lost time during my presentations. They had downloads, they had all these memories and stuff. They don't want people like me existing. And that's why what I mean by people like us are dangerous, because we wake everybody up. And they want everybody to stay asleep.
Of course.
People who are sleeping are easier to control. easier to feed off of, easier to manipulate into doing what they want us to do rather than what we need to do or what we are here for. I would like very much for humanity to find their higher angels and pull themselves out of this mess. And I don't see us doing it except together. There's too much control mechanism for one person or even a small group of people to be able to overcome. We're going to have to do this together. Mm-hmm. Every racial group, every gender, every religious group, every nation, we're going to have to do it together. Otherwise, they're going to pick us off one by one by one by one by one.
Absolutely. We've got to bring a lot of these other One Nation people or original nation people together, but not necessarily make it public. How do you see how that's going to work so that we can all work together without being, targeted?
Oh,
I can tell you that, yeah.
You're going to be targeted. These people we are up against are employing mages.
Yeah.
Crowley and higher level mages.
That's why I called them out at the conference. Before I started my talk, I said, we started a remote viewing project the moment this talk started, and we're identifying all of you. And the cool thing about that recording, any remote viewer, anybody that can actually go to that moment, it became exponential. So all the people that view that recording, it wasn't just limited to the people in the room and the friends that I had remote viewing right when it started. Whenever people hears that recording, they're going to remote view people in that room. They're going to find people that they're connected to. So that's what we need to start doing. We need to start identifying who these people are and calling them out, because if you're not willing to do that because you're going to say, I'm going to get retaliated against, then shame on you. I'm willing to die for this. I've given my life over this so many times that I think maybe only Amir would know that number. You know what I'm saying? He knows I am defiant to the end, and that's why I've lost my head over 50 freaking times over the last 10,000 years, because I will not stop no matter what. You can imprison me, you can torture me, you can rape me, but if I ever escape, I am taking all of you down, and I will freaking die for it and wake up as many people as I can before I die again. Period.
Good.
That should be the speech introducing humanity in space. Right? This is who we are. If you want to kill me, you better do it correctly the first time around, because otherwise I'm coming for you.
Yes, love it.
I am the mighty human. Hear me roar. I accept payment in cheesecake and in vengeance, which is sweet.
So going back to the original question that started this whole conversation chain about the Middle Eastern stuff. Mm-hmm. I could do an entire show on that. Bring on probably Dr. Amir. You probably know a little more about some of the ethnic relations than I do. I can do a whole show on that from the SSP perspective. I am the only person who ever really in-depth talked about it from an SSP perspective to begin with.
I had prepared an evaluation or analysis because you had originally asked me what was going on with what was it? What is going on with Trump after Davos? That was how you asked me to this presentation. So I had this full thing prepared, and I haven't even touched it because we never went there.
Well, we can go there now. Or as we say in the big city of Belfast, we go there now.
That is a loaded question, and with an unending complex answer. What is wrong with Trump at any moment? Goodness gracious.
Trump is a strange little man who believes he's still in the Gilded Age. And that is his point of heaven on earth. the Gilded Age, when rich people were way above everybody else, and they had all these luxuries, all this power, all this control. They could do whatever they wanted. Okay, now at that time frame, white men were in charge in Europe and North America. Period. Even white women were property who could be beaten to death with impunity. They could do whatever they wanted to us, and we had no recourse. And God help us if we actually killed one of them. Now, other women were even lower down the chain. This was reality here. Now, corporations had no limits to what they could do. There were meat companies that added arsenic to their product because it kept the meat red and fresh longer. You know, arsenic is a nerve agent. It kills people by killing their nerve tissue. And, you know, in that time frame, they were putting arsenic drops in ladies' eyes to make them look dewy. Never mind that it killed their brain cells. Yeah, you ended up with a lot of women in mental institutions because they were literally poisoned with arsenic. There were no restraints on the wealthy. Now, this same time period, we had a war still ongoing against the Native Americans. We were literally genociding them to take their land and property. This is the mindset of Donald Trump. In a nutshell, this is where he thinks he's living. He thinks he is basically Teddy Roosevelt, who bullied the entire North and South America to do his will for the time he was in office. He terrorized Central America on behalf of the fruit companies. Okay, this is who Donald Trump thinks he is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this man owed a hell of a lot of money to the people who actually run the world. He had done some dirty deeds, and he was up against the wall, and he was told, you are going to do this or die. And not just you, your whole bloodline. Okay? What he did was he took a knee, literally. He kissed a ring, just like you see in all the mafia movies. And then he took a blood oath to install the beast system in North America. The beast system is you have to have the mark of the beast to buy or sell. English translation for today, the digital ID system that you have to buy or sell, that where they have complete and total control of everything you do through digital ID, through AI control of finances. It's the Chinese social credit system applied to North America.
So how are we going to stop this, Penny? We've heard that many times. How are we going to put a stop to this permanently?
You can't put a stop to it permanently. It's going to be a battle you have to fight every day of the rest of your life to keep the AI out of your control. Otherwise,
I know how we stop it.
How do you stop it?
It's called the Second American Revolution. Because think about this, America is seen as the top of the top around the world by numerous countries around the world, even the peoples. That's why they're people.
Not anymore.
No.
Well, Penny, you know what? I've seen at least 18 countries, so I'm going to disagree with that, and that's why they're coming here. Now, if you think about this, we're the final stronghold for the planet. I've said this numerous times in my talks. If America falls, the planet falls, because the different countries looking at, you can either see us as world terrorizers or people who save people. But there is no army or armada bigger than the United States. And if we fell in our own country and we let all these come to the United States, then we're toast. We die. We become part of that system. UK just rebelled against their own country against their own freedom of speech, and they refused the digital ID. It was like millions of people wrote petitions, in the millions, and it got so big that Parliament had to say, we can't legally do this because according to their way of life, their laws say if this many people do this, if they go against that, then they can be removed. So they didn't actually accept it. So it's going to take
that's still ongoing, Drago. There's a double
so it's
call
going to
on
take a worldwide revolution. Yeah, so that's a perfect step to start with. We have to take what they're doing and we have to apply it to all the countries around the world, because it's dangerous to say we need another revolution. It's dangerous for me to say that. But I believe in history. You're going to see something that's called the Second American Revolution, because if we don't, what's the point of all this, man? I don't want to be in this planet anymore if we're going to be part of this beast system and we can't come back from it, because we have to do something. Like I said, I'll say it 1,000 more times. I'll die for you.
I'm not supporting the beast system. I'm saying this is what he was put in there to do. And I'm seeing the entire, all of disclosure seems to think that he's wonderful. And I'm looking at this like he is put in place to destroy us.
Well, he was swapped out in Canada. What about the Canadians?
I would say I agree with what Drago is saying in spirit, but the thing is, the worst part of it is currently being rolled out by a guy who a slight majority of the country voted for, including probably like 90% of the people listening to this show. And that is a problem.
I don't think it was a slight majority. I think half the people sat it out. So you've got a quarter of the population elected.
Well, a slight majority of the people who did go out and vote, you know. But either way.
But all
John,
I'm saying is Miles asked for, what is the solution to all this?
We've had Obama, we've had every president that comes has been
you're going to have to fight every day until they give up. And they're not going to give up easily, because this is their wet dream, to have total control over the population.
Why do you think they venerate Russia so much? Because it's a country where everything is held by a few little families. Ethnic minorities have very few rights, and so on. I probably just got this video banned in Russia for saying that, but it's a pretty perfect system for them.
Guys, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but most of the rest of the world is just getting on with things, and the Americans and the Europeans can go into their party and fall down a well. The rest of the world is getting on just fine. And Europe
There's a map from the Club of Rome from 1972, and it tells the exact plan. Now, these folks that run things, it's not so much that everything was remote viewed as much as these people have taken all the prophecies, combined them into one narrative, and they're using it as a script. So it's like self-fulfilling prophecy.
Okay, right, guys. We all heard it. We've repeated this. I don't know how many shows have said this sort of stuff. What I'm looking for is solutions. Right. I want to go from...
You have to organize. You have to keep fighting. Yes. You have to do it by the cell
I know we've heard this before.
Because they're
right.
hunting
I want
us.
solutions, right? I want 2 minutes of solutions from everybody, starting with Drago, and then Beverly, and then Dr. Amir, and then John.
Miles, I would love to tell you how we're doing it behind the scenes.
You don't. Well, don't say anything that you don't want to say. You don't want to say it.
I would say that there is a plan with different factions, the SSP that's tired of this shit, that we've joined together in different armadas and different factions, and we're fighting them behind the scenes. Numerous
keep them
SSP
behind the
whistleblowers
scenes.
talk about this.
one of the things about the internet is you don't go and tell everybody on the internet what your secret plans are.
That's my point, because we can't really tell you what we're doing, because if we did, that plan will not work.
Yeah, of course.
So the only solution is we have to take our countries back. We have to force government resignations entirely. We have to replace all of our governments. I don't know how many countries around the world just in the last 5 years has had full government resignations. That's what we need in the United States. I'm sick and tired of people being bought. I'm sick and tired of the pedophiles in the House and the Senate.
Well, the United States is owned by Netanyahu.
What's up?
The United States is just simply a dog and pony show by Netanyahu. Anything he says, everybody does.
I agree, but it's dangerous to go into detail about that subject and mention that
that's
in general.
openly
And
discussed
that's one thing.
by many political and military
in any interview you've ever heard me talk about, I will not talk about them under any circumstance, period. There's certain things that I will not talk about because it is dangerous. The people that's running that country, if I say the wrong thing, I'm going to end up dead.
Well, I'm simply repeating what analysts and military and financial analysts have been saying for the last couple of weeks.
It's absolutely true, Miles. It's true more than you can imagine, but it's so true. It's dangerous to admit it publicly. Look how many people are dying the moment they mention those connections. People are getting publicly executed on TV in front of large audiences. Like, it's becoming bad. And that is terrifying that other countries run our own country and we're not as free as we thought we were, and that basically the United States is a proxy country of another country. That's not good, man. But again, you're taking one of the most powerful people that are the direct descendants of the Anunnaki. You cannot challenge them. I'm sorry. They are the direct descendants of the Anunnaki.
I would beg to differ. That's the whole point of us sitting here, is that we are challenging it. Okay, Dr. Amir.
So now if I may add a human-centered point of view. For goodness sake, we are the mighty humans. And the whole reason that this type of abuse in our reality has been possible is that we've been asleep, playing a game of dumbass, rolling in the dirt with our eyes closed and our hands tied behind us. Once we remember whom and what we are, the show is over. Quite simply, by you not being part of the problem. You're not the offender and you're not the one being violated. You are removed from it by keeping yourself at a perfect state of strength, health, and joy. Ultimately, that is your birthright, and it is under these conditions where your entire system functions optimally, and you make the greatest progress in every way possible. So things that would improve the health of your body and mind in a holistic way, please follow. Many of these things are well known. Good nutrition, good water, good sleep, workout, keeping your nerves under control, keeping your thoughts under control, and then something that would give you joy. Nobody can take it away from you, my wonderful brothers and sisters. This is my approach to this war zone or wartime period in human history. As we observe the awakening of masses, this is a joyous time. Best thing you can do is not be part of the problem. They will not prosecute you for another's karma and wrongdoing. Gain your wisdom, live well along the way. You may be able to help 1 or 2 or 1,000. It's the principle that comes in. But first, your own well-being. That's my humble advice for everyone.
Okay, John?
You're watching John Whitberg on Basis TV. You can find his videos on YouTube, Substack, and the Internet Archive.
Okay, to add to what Dr. Amir just said, I would say that's sort of what I'm doing. I don't exactly do this disclosure work for the public good, because I don't think the public good is worth saving. I'm sorry to say that, but that is what I feel, having lived among them for so long. But I do it so that my information is out there for the day I am proven right. Nothing more, nothing less. But at any rate, You want actual solutions to issues caused by the government. Don't talk about it too much on the internet. Buy whatever weaponry your country will allow. I know there are many countries where you're not allowed to buy a gun, or you have to jump through hoops to do it. If you can legally jump through those hoops, I would recommend doing that. I'm not going to recommend anyone do anything illegal. And stockpile, and the classic things for resistances. And we are very technologically outmatched. But on the other hand, the Viet Cong kicked the collective ass of the entire Western Bloc just by being good at digging tunnels. So, I'm not going to say that there's no hope. When you're outmatched, because sometimes it's a skill game, not a technology game. So, yeah.
Okay, Beverli?
So I think that there are a lot of organizations that are doing a lot behind the scenes, and there are also not only just individual factions, but also visitors and off-world beings that are doing a lot to try and help. But I think that whatever they are doing, a lot of the instrumental projects and how they're trying to make a difference are clandestine, and they don't share very much of that information at all. So I'm with Draco on this, and obviously John too. It's not something that becomes common knowledge. Yeah. And I think that that's probably the best way for it to remain. The solutions, from what I've seen and heard, there are solutions there. There are individuals that are talking about specific aspects, and I think that there will be solutions that become very obvious if we are astute and we watch and we learn. We can see what's actually happening. But I think more than that, I don't think that the solutions will become public. I don't think it's safe for that.
I agree with that totally. And Penny, close the show.
You're watching Penny Bradley on Basis TV. You can find her videos on Rumble, Odyssey, Substack, and Patreon.
What I've been putting out on my social media is to become independent, self-sustaining as much as possible, to not rely on electronics or technology any more than you absolutely have to reach the point where that it won't matter to your life if there's social controls or not. The more of us who are outside of their system, the more frustrated they will get. So that's what I've been trying to teach people on my social media, is to just separate from it, to basically live like Amish. I mean, I don't know if you have Amish in Europe or not, but same idea. And to separate from the culture that is creating the problem. Now, reality is, if an intrusive, controlling government wants to take you down, individuals have not much recourse. We only have the ability to fight back in numbers. And knowing what some of the SSP technologies are, should any of the governments decide to use those against us, we're screwed. But in the meantime, live as well as you can, as off-grid as you can.
Well, thank you very much, everybody.
The rest of the fighting back has to stay private, because anything on the internet, they'll know.
Well, thank you very much. It's very good. I'm very happy everybody got together, and we'll do this again. And as you say, I think John Lear told Bob Lazar, you don't put it on the bloody internet. Anyway, that was another in-joke from a good. Okay, thank you very much. I'll put this together, and we were prevented from going live because 2 computers got blown up. Working furiously at the last minute, but great. Good to see you all. And live long and prosper and be part of the solution. Bye for now, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.